Hey, what's up YouTube? It is me, Adam Neff, and I am back with another freaking game review. Only this time I am so pumped about the game we get to talk about today. This game is my absolute favorite game of all time, and I've wanted to take you guys through it and do a review a long time ago, but unfortunately the game is just a little too old, and after some game franchises have gotten remake after remake after remake, yeah, I'm looking at you, Resident Evil, I get to take you guys through the absolute masterpiece that is Half-Life. Or I guess in this case, Black Mesa. Now, this remake surprisingly did not come to us from Valve. It actually came to us from a small group known only as the Crowbar Collective. And if I'm being completely honest, given the game we're talking about, that's a freaking awesome name. So good on you guys. Now, fortunately, this remake is not just surface level. With this remaster, we get a massive improvement to graphics, physics, and sound design, making this a true remastered version of the game. Looking back at the original Half-Life, which came out in 1998, the game's actually held up pretty well. What Valve was able to do with a heavily modded Quake engine at the time was nothing short of miraculous. Unfortunately, when Valve released their absolutely spectacular Source engine, they did not give us a true remastered version of the game. This left it up to a small volunteer dev group to go back and do a true remaster of the game, which I personally will forever be eternally grateful for. Yeah, I realize that's kind of redundant, but whatever. The original Half-Life is why I am as into games as I am right now. Okay, yeah, I would have ended up as hardcore into games as I am right now anyway, but Half-Life is what kicked that off. Anybody looking into a first-person shooter / adventure game should absolutely look into playing this game. You will not, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Even though I'm not held to the no spoilers rule that new games have, I really don't want to spoil this one for you guys. I would rather you guys just go out, pick up a copy, and play through it and get to experience it yourself, just like I did back in 1998. Well, that and now. The game starts out with you, the main character, Gordon Freeman, on the transit system going into work just to do his normal, everyday job. Yes, I will say that he is a scientist that works with weird atomic alien space material, but other than that, he's just heading into work. After he puts on the infamous HEV protective hazard suit, Gordon makes his way down to the test chamber, where he inserts the green sample given to him secretly by the G-Man, which ends up opening a portal to another dimension, causing all hell to break loose. Immediately following this, Gordon grabs up his trusty crowbar and embarks on a journey to smash the alien invader right in the freaking eye. Right in the freaking eye. Again, I don't want to get too far into the story here, guys, but just take it from me, the story keeps you on your toes the entire time. The G-Man will randomly and periodically pop up ever so often just to keep you guessing. As far as the gameplay is concerned, this game plays extremely smooth. Even with the game looking as good as it does, I was able to achieve a fairly high frame rate on a modestly spec'd laptop. Now, if I am being completely honest here, it did chug a little bit in the later levels when you get to Zen, but overall, the game kept a fairly high frame rate with all the settings completely maxed out. Alright guys, now let's talk a little bit about the negatives, because, hey, every game's got them. And even though Half-Life is, in my opinion, the best game ever created, it's not perfect. For starters, let's talk a little bit about load screens, because unlike many of the huge open world games of today, Half-Life, and in this case Black Mesa, has load screens. The way they made games back then is they would cut the level up into small sections due to hardware limitations. There just wasn't enough memory to load the entire level. So they would cut them into sections and load small bits at a time. Now, to be completely honest, the load times were really small, so you really don't have to worry about real long load times. Maybe a little bit at the start of the level, but in between each section, we're talking like 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe at the most. Now, another thing that might be construed as a drawback is that this game just doesn't have a map. In fact, a lot of the games back then didn't have maps. It's just how they did things. You would get into the game and then you'd have to kind of learn the level, which this is why, for me, I kind of don't consider it a drawback. Once you kind of get used to the fact that you don't have a map, you start to learn the level. And it really kind of turns into a benefit instead of a drawback. But I will leave that up to you to decide. So, when you start to look at Half-Life or Black Mesa as a whole, there's really not a whole lot of things to complain about. It's a pretty balanced game.
20 minutes ago and I'm
and it truly shows just what kind of quality games they were producing back then. Now, don't get me wrong here. Black Mesa is a substantial upgrade from the original Half-Life. Half-Life was amazing in its day, but there's really not a whole lot of comparison quality-wise. Black Mesa, simply put, is the far superior game here. However, none of this would be possible without Half-Life, and I think the Crowbar Collective would completely agree with me. It changed video games, and not many can actually say that. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me on this one. I just want you guys to know how much fun this video was to make. Well, fun and frustrating, because I've been struggling with trying to make it as good as I possibly can, but at the same time I was having an absolute blast playing the game and reliving some of the best memories of my life. And I don't think there is another game out there that I could recommend any more than this one. This is probably the game that I would personally recommend over any other game right now. It is a blast to play. And it's a different kind of game. You know, sounds kind of cheesy, but they really do not make them like they used to. So I truly hope you guys give it a chance and go through and play it, because it will kind of blow your mind. Anyway, that's going to do it for me on this one, but if you guys have any games at all that you might want to see me play through, leave them in the comments below. And if you guys like this stuff and you want to keep seeing this, please feel free to subscribe, because I would love that. But other than that, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.